All right, today we're going to talk about a huge shift in thinking when it comes to classroom management. It's not about clamping down with stricter rules. It's about building something way more powerful, something called willingness.
You've probably heard this a million times, right? Don't smile until November. It's that classic, old-school advice that says you gotta show them who's boss from day one. But what if that whole idea is, well, just wrong? What if it misses the entire point?
What if the real reason for all those disruptions, those constant power struggles, what if they aren't about the rules at all? What if they're actually symptoms of something else? Answering that question, well, that's how we find a way to manage a classroom that's not just more sustainable, but honestly, a lot more enjoyable for everyone.
Okay, so let's just cut right to the chase. The first big thing we need to wrap our heads around is that maybe, just maybe, we've been focusing on the wrong thing all along.
And boom, there it is. This is the absolute core idea. So many classroom management problems are actually relationship problems in disguise. I mean, think about it. If a student feels disconnected or disrespected, a rule book isn't going to fix that. The problem isn't the rules, it's the relationships, or lack thereof. So you might be thinking, okay, that sounds nice, but does it actually work? And the answer is yes, absolutely. This isn't some fluffy, feel-good theory. It's actually backed by science. Let's look at what this looks like in the real world. Okay, look at this. We've all seen this, right? You've got two classrooms, maybe even right next door to each other. They have the exact same rules. But teacher A's room is a constant struggle, while teacher B's room just flows. Students are cooperating, they're engaged. So what's the difference? It's not the rules, it's the relationship the teacher has built with those students.
And this right here is the science behind it. It's so important. You just can't manage behavior effectively in a nervous system that feels threatened. When a kid feels unsafe or targeted, their brain goes into fight or flight mode. And when that happens, forget about learning, forget about self-control. They're just reacting. That's why feeling safe has to come first, period.
And look at what happens in the brain when that safety is there. A good, solid relationship literally changes a kid's brain chemistry for the better. It lowers stress hormones, it helps with their memory, with impulse control, with emotional regulation, all the stuff we actually need them to be doing to learn.
And this is a game changer. So many power struggles, they're not even about the rule itself. They're about a student trying to protect their dignity. But when that student already feels respected by you, they have nothing to prove. They don't need to push back to save face. The whole power struggle just dissolves before it can even get started.
Okay, now it's really easy to get the wrong idea here. So let's clear up a few common myths about what this approach isn't.
This is so important. This is not about being permissive. It's not about letting kids walk all over you. It's the exact opposite. It's about having super high expectations, but also giving super high support. It's about correcting behavior without humiliating a student. It's about being the authority in the room without having to rely on fear.
And let me just say this again, because it's the whole point. Relationships don't get rid of structure. They're what makes the structure actually work. Your rules, your routines, they're still totally essential. But the relationships are what make students want to buy in.
All right, so the big question is, how do we actually do this? Let's talk about 4 really practical things you can start doing like tomorrow to build these connections and head off conflict before it starts.
And the great thing is, these aren't some huge, complicated things that take up a ton of time. They're small, consistent moves. Things like just being predictable and calm. Always talking about the behavior, not the kid. Giving corrections in private, so important. And maybe the biggest one of all, taking the time to repair things when a conflict does happen.
Okay, let's look at a real-world example of that second one, separating the student from the behavior. Instead of saying, you're being disrespectful, which is a label, right? It's an attack on who they are. You say, that behavior isn't okay in here. See the difference? It's a small change in words, but it makes a world of difference. And here's why it works so well. The second you attack someone's identity, what happens? Their walls go up. They get defensive. They stop listening. But if you just address the action, you leave their dignity intact. And when a student feels like their dignity is safe, they're so much more open to actually hearing you and making a change.
So what happens when things do get messy? Because let's be real, they will. This is where repair comes in. And it doesn't have to be a big dramatic apology. It can be as simple as going to that student later and saying, hey, yesterday was rough, let's reset.
You're showing them that the relationship is stronger than the conflict. And that builds some serious trust. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a lot of extra work. But here's the crazy part. This approach is actually one of the best things you can do to prevent your own burnout.
I mean, just think about it. When you're not spending all day putting out fires, what happens? The classroom gets calmer. You're dealing with way less conflict. And all that energy we're spending on discipline, you get it back. You can actually use that energy for teaching. It's a total game changer for your own sanity.
Yeah, this really says it all. This whole approach isn't about adding one more thing to your already overflowing plate. It's about taking things off your plate. It's what makes teaching feel sustainable and, you know what, even joyful again. So, when you boil it all down, the shift is pretty simple. The old way was about using rules to force compliance. This new way is about using relationships to inspire willingness. It's a totally different goal.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If all our rules can really get us is compliance, but relationships can get us actual willingness, where does real classroom management actually come from? Yeah, it comes from the connection.